think the best way to start my testimony of what happened to me during my alien abduction is to say that it was nothing like what others have experienced, at least not according to my own research and what I've uncovered sifting through the alien abduction accounts. I've told my story before, and not many have been willing to listen to me because I don't corroborate their own personal alien abduction stories. My alien encounter doesn't contradict what others have said, and I'm definitely not alleging that they're making their stories up. No, it's just that my alien abduction experience is a little different and doesn't match up with any others that I've read to date. I think a lot of survivors of alien abduction come forward because there's a strong need to be believed, to be validated in the alien abduction community. We don't want to be called kooks or crazies. We just want to be believed. I really get that feeling. For the first few years after my abduction, I was fixated, almost obsessed with trying to be believed. I realize now that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how alien abductees are perceived by those who have not been abducted by aliens. In fact, I think it's better for everyone. It's possibly even part of a greater plan that we are not believed. So anyway, I just want to say this up front in case you're listening to my story as someone who is from the alien abduction community and you're collecting stories as corroboration and to accrue credibility. For the most part, everyone who reports being abducted by aliens experiences the same things, or at least similar things. There's a lot of overlap in the stories. And believers in alien abduction see this as evidence that the stories must be true. And unfortunately, if you're looking for another story that fits the pattern, then my alien abduction experience is probably not going to work for you. For example, my alien abduction story is nothing like Betty and Barney Hill's. It's one of the most famous alien abduction stories in recent memory. Unlike Betty and Barney, I did not see a bright white light that could have been a star or planet or some other celestial object darting and flitting around in the sky over the White Mountains of New Hampshire. I didn't even see that pancake-like disc glowing with brilliant white light that they described and so many other alien abductees talk about. I didn't suddenly lose consciousness with no immediate memory of what happened. No. Unlike Betty and Barney Hill, I did not travel to Zeta Reticuli as much as I would have liked to. Nor was I able to draw a map of space from the point of view of someone situated on Zeta Reticuli. I didn't lose 2 hours of memory and have to undergo psychiatric hypnosis like the Hills or the families involved in the Berkshire UFO experiences. I didn't need that to be able to recall my encounters, which didn't involve glowing orb discs in the sky or being transported in spacecraft to an examination facility where the alien inspection occurred. Unlike Barney Hill, I didn't have a face-to-face encounter with squinty, oblique-eyed beings. The aliens did not perform medical experiments on me while I was lying naked on a table. They didn't extract samples of my hair and skin, nails, my DNA, nor did they inject something into my stomach with a needle the size of a Subway sandwich. So no, my alien abduction experience bears little resemblance to Betty and Barney Hill's. Is it likely that my story will catalyze the U.S. military to launch a project similar to Project Blue Book? It's possible, but not likely. I doubt that anyone hearing my alien abduction story will be interested enough to raise any national or global security alarms, because my experience wasn't like the Pascagoula incident. I wasn't fishing on the banks of a river when blue lights came over the water. I didn't see a spacecraft hovering over the water, and three-legged creatures with mitten hands didn't come slowly floating at me, descending to the bank of the river. And these mitten hand three-legged creatures didn't choke me or inject me with some unknown sedative before transporting me to their spacecraft. And they didn't examine me with a giant eye-shaped device. They didn't experiment on my body as they did to Travis Walton. No, my abduction wasn't anything like Travis Walton's. I wasn't part of a crew of loggers out in the forest who witnessed a shiny glowing metal disc in the sky. They didn't snatch me up from said spaceship and experiment on me for 5 days, during which time I was reported as missing, and I didn't find myself on the side of a road a few days later, as Travis Walton did. And unlike Whitley Strieber, I wasn't lying in bed in a cabin in the woods when a small, foreign extraterrestrial come towards me, nor did I have a deep, late-night conversation at a later date with an alien about the dangers of AI in a hotel room, like Whitley reported. And I'm not a farmer like Antonio Villas Boas, and I wasn't farming in the middle of the night in a field when I saw a red light blinking from a spacecraft that had landed. And I wasn't attacked by blue-eyed, short, hairy aliens wearing overalls and helmets, grunting and bestial sounds like Antonio, and I didn't have my blood extracted from my chin before I was presented to a voluptuous blonde for copulation, and then I wasn't informed that she was pregnant afterwards, before I was lowered back to Earth, where examinations of my body showed signs of exposure to radiation. So yes, my experience is fairly different from Antonio Villas Boas' experience out in the fields, and completely different from the experience of the Australian pilot Frederick Valentic, who was flying a plane near Tasmania and disappeared, never to be seen again, after he reported that aliens were flying a large metallic spaceship towards his. And I wasn't a child when my alien abduction occurred, like Audrey and Debbie Hewins, who were abducted on many, many occasions from their childhood room. Each time their abduction occurring as a foggy, misty light fell over the room, and two bald gray aliens would enter, lifting them into the spacecraft, where they would look down on their house below, and then afterwards having their memory wiped, only being able to recall the experiments that took place over several years through intensive psychotherapy and hypnosis. My experiences were nothing like theirs, and not at all like Marine veteran Terrell Copeland, who posted a video of a UFO flying above his house, posted it online, to then later be awoken from a nap by intruders. No, I didn't have that happen. I didn't have to reach for a weapon to defend myself against these intruders, only to be told by the aliens that they would not harm me. I didn't have an encounter with a half-human woman with empty, cold, black eyes and an elongated skull, to then later be dropped off on my balcony, where I waved goodbye to the spaceship. But I can relate to Terrell Copeland's feeling after the abduction, even if the details and the events of our abductions were quite different. Terrell Copeland has said, "I feel like if someone from above took notice of me, then maybe I'm doing something right. And if I'm doing something right, maybe I can do it better." Most alien abductees struggle to recount their stories because it's painful to recall their experiences. While I do also struggle with recounting and retelling my alien abduction experience, it's not because it was a painful one. Quite the opposite. What happened during my abduction was ecstatically astounding. When I remember the actual experience of the abduction, I'm overcome by a deluge of emotions. There's some nostalgic melancholy mixed in. Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgic melancholy, because I know that no experience will ever compare to or give me the same kind of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine boost, rush, really, that I felt during those however many hours, maybe 72 or 86, I can't be sure. It wasn't an unpleasant experience in any way. Quite the opposite. It was like meeting a clutch of fairy godmothers, and I was completely overcome by a feminine, nurturing energy that was about as healing and transformative as any human can imagine. I won't say it because it's cliched, but it kind of felt like being born again. Receiving this sort of head-to-toe makeover that they gave me. Not the kind of makeover that you'd expect aliens who have different fashion sense and beauty standards would give. No, it was totally tailored to me, to my lifestyle, and to the trends of our times. one of the things I remember is watching one of the aliens use this very small machine to produce an entire wardrobe of clothes for me. They just fit me absolutely perfectly. And another cobbled together some shoes. I say cobble, but really it was like crafting on a supra-earthly level, because my feet were inserted into a gel-like substance, and almost instantly the mold congealed around each foot, cradling every contour and nuance of the structure of each toe, my heel, the arch. The excess gel fell away, and what was left was a perfectly fitting, divinely comfortable shoe. There were many components of the experience like that. This pampering, personal attention type of thing. But it took many months after I was returned to my home to fully uncover the impact of the abduction on my life. I think was the most significant event was when I went to make a mortgage payment the next month, and I logged onto my account. I saw that my balance was 0, when I really knew that I had over $400K left on my mortgage. The same was true for every other debt I had. My car loans, my credit cards, all 0 balances. Of course, I investigated with caution. I assumed it was a bank error, as you would also if you were in my shoes. And I was reluctant to draw attention to it, as you would be if you were in my situation. But payoff payments had been made on each and every account, and I have no other way of accounting for this, especially since these events coincided perfectly with my alien abduction. I'm telling you, that was the second or third best day of my life, next to the actual abduction experience. Technically, that was probably several days. And then my wedding day. Seriously, I sat there in a state of stunned ecstasy for a good hour before I even let my mind start running over what this would mean for my life. And this was before I even discovered deposits into my savings accounts that were beyond belief. Eventually, I had the soundness of mind to dig a little and find out what lottery winners are advised to do, because I'd won some intergalactic lottery. So following that advice, I'm not going to share with you the amount of the deposits, but let's just say that I got bumped from the lowest to the highest tax bracket through some miraculous act by my alien abductors. But wait, there's more. Seriously, it didn't end there. I couldn't do enough cartwheels to express how elated I was when I looked in the mirror for the first time. For the first time in my life. And I was at the start on the decline age of 37. For the first time in my life, though, I was beautiful. Rather, I was flawless. Aliens, who never told me their names, had given me metallic box to take back with me. And when I opened the box, I found vials of what appeared to be lotions and creams, emollients, some tonics, as well as some capsules. To this day, I have no idea what each of them does, so I simply take one of every capsule every day and apply each cream very sparingly across my face and body during my nighttime skincare ritual. And it's as if I'm even more rejuvenated with each application. My skin is absolutely flawless, not a crease or blemish or wrinkle to be found. And the really weird thing about these aliens is that they provided no information, not on paper, not in my memory or in my mind, so that I could replicate any of these miracle emulsions and ointments. I have a sneaking suspicion that one of them is specifically an anti-aging serum. I think I know which one it is. And I've rationed that one out so that it should last for at least another year or so. My conscience tells me that I should turn all of these so-called potions over to a scientific R&D lab, for the benefit of all of humanity. But that doesn't feel like what the aliens would have wanted, what they had intended. All of this plainly was gifted to me, specifically me, and not the entire human race. I realize that's the most far-fetched part of all of this. Why would they choose me? Why would the aliens give any hoots about little old nobody me? And I still don't have a definitive answer to that. I don't think I ever will. But what I do know is that you're probably judging me because I'm using all the potions, or whatever they are, and haven't surrendered them to science. And that's okay, because I judge me too. I definitely would if I were in your shoes. So I wish I could convince you that aliens are real, because aliens are real. They came for me in the middle of the night. They cared for me. I believe they care for all of us. They have our best intentions in mind. But I think you really have to experience their love to believe it. I do have a few theories about why they did what they did for me. My prevailing theory is that, like so many idealists and utopians, they probably need like a pity project or some kind of last-ditch effort to clear their conscience. Let me explain where I'm coming from with that. I have this sixth sense that this particular species of aliens has tried to help all of humanity at some point, and most likely repeatedly, over and over, and failed repeatedly because we're stubborn, because humans just seem hell-bent on greed and destruction or whatever. maybe they just can't figure out how to hack our hardware and ferret out the root causes of our ignorance and self-sabotaging proclivities. So, like many idealists, I imagine that at some point they reached their frustration limit with us and became jaded, threw up their hands and just gave up. But later on, they revisited their desire to help humanity, and they reasoned, well, clearly we can't save them all wholesale, that's for sure, because humans are headed for extinction. But if we could save a few of them, or just one, or just make life a little better for a few of them, then that's the best we can do. Anyhow, that's my most developed theory on why the aliens have done what they did, the way they did it. And I suspect they chose me because I'm the most run-of-the-mill, salt-of-the-earth human they could find. And their charity would feel so pure-hearted because it would in no way benefit themselves. Clearly, changing my life didn't avert war with our species and didn't prevent humans from wreaking havoc on the galaxy. I think they did all of this for me just because, like out of the goodness of their hearts, and because every other humanitarian aid mission probably failed miserably, and we aren't even aware of a single one of them, because we were too busy squabbling over which way to hang